For this recipe, you will need bread flour, water, instant yeast, salt, sugar, non-fat milk solids, shortening, and butter. If using active dry yeast, dissolve the yeast in water at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Stir the yeast until completely dissolved. Allow the mixture to stand until the yeast begins to foam. If you do not have non-fat milk solids, simply delete it and substitute your water with milk. This formula uses the straight dough mixing method. I will be mixing and kneading this dough by hand. If you are using a mixer, we are going to incorporate the intensive mix technique, which combines long mixing with short fermentation. After an initial 3 to 4 minutes at first speed to incorporate ingredients, the dough is then mixed for an additional 8 to 15 minutes on second speed. When the dough leaves the mixer, it has a well-developed gluten structure. When using the intensive mix technique, whether you are using a mixer or kneading by hand, the resulting crumb color will be white and the crumb structure will be tight and regular. If this dough is extremely sticky, add a little bit of flour. Continue to knead your dough until you feel that the gluten is well developed. You can do this by using the window pane technique. Once you've developed your gluten, form your dough into a nice, round, smooth ball. You may check the gluten strength of your dough by simply taking your finger and pressing into the dough, and it should spring back quickly. Your dough is now ready to be proof. I've lightly oiled my bowl. I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap. My proofing time might be about 30 minutes. I am looking for it to double in volume. This might take longer. My dough has proofed. It is double in volume. I am now ready to fold and punch down to expel the carbon dioxide gases in my dough. I can now proceed with scaling my dough. I will be making 1-ounce size dinner rolls. Next, I will pre-shape, also called rounding. Once my pieces of dough are pre-shaped, I will now bench-proof my dough and allow it to rest for 10 to 20 minutes. This relaxes the gluten to make the final shaping of the dough easier. Loosely cover your dough with plastic wrap during this process. Now I'm ready for makeup and panning. My dough will be shaped into dinner rolls. When you are learning how to roll out dough, make several portions. This gives you an opportunity to practice your craft. The more often you do this, the better your product is going to be. Initially, apply pressure onto the dough. You will begin to feel some resistance. Continue to roll. Cup your hands as you do that roll. You should not see any creases or any folds in the dough. Proper molding is of critical importance to the finished product. If a tight crumb is desired, which in this case it is, all gas bubbles should be expelled during molding. Bubbles left in the dough will result in large air holes in the baked product. You might decide to bake your dinner rolls separated from each other on a sheet pan. You could also bake them together and place them closely together, just a little bit of space to allow for expansion of gases. Another variation is a cloverleaf roll, where you'll take 3 small individual rolls and place them into a muffin tin. Another variation is a pan loaf. You can roll your dough out into a rectangle, brush it with butter, sprinkle it with cinnamon and sugar, and roll the dough. It'll have a spiral form inside. Place that into a loaf pan, proof, and bake. Other variations include tied or knotted rolls, crescent rolls, pan rolls, Parker House rolls, and butterflake rolls. Lightly egg wash your rolls, and now you're ready for proofing. If you are proofing inside of your oven or inside of the microwave, it is not necessary to cover your dinner rolls with plastic. However, if you are proofing on a countertop, loosely cover with plastic wrap. Your proofing time should be minimal, enough to see that your dinner rolls have slightly expanded or taken a breath. Now that my dinner rolls are proof, I could take my finger and push into the dough just ever so gently, and there should be a slow spring back. I'm now ready to bake. I will bake these until they are a nice golden brown. Do not hesitate to egg wash twice. I egg washed my dinner rolls before they proofed, and now I will egg wash them again for a little additional coloring. Now my dough is out of the oven. As you can see, it's a rich golden brown color, just the way I like it. You could go a little bit lighter, but be careful. You don't want your dinner rolls to be doughy inside or underbaked. If you want, you could add a little something extra to these dinner rolls by pouring hot melted butter over the top. If you did the version of rolling your dough with cinnamon and sugar and doing the loaf style, you could do the same thing. Pour some melted butter and sprinkle the top with cinnamon and sugar. You could add raisins to that dough if you wanted to, but you would need to hydrate your raisins in some warm water or even some other warm liquid if you wanted to take on some other flavor. So many variations. I like a savory version of this roll. I've added sauteed garlic and parsley to it. So enjoy it. Enjoy them while they're warm. I hope you continue to practice your craft. Pull one away and you'll see that it has a nice, soft, lovely texture. Enjoy.